Hello, how are you? My name is Andrew, and I'm going to demonstrate for you how to log into Synthesis to start making calls. This is the quiet, dry run. I'm not going to speak, I'm just going to show you using the cursor, the mouse, all the steps that you need to take to get started. Okay, that's it. Now I'm waiting on a call. I'm going to log out and then I'm going to demonstrate that whole thing again, this time with a little more explanation. Hello?
Hello, it's Jane Farnsworth. I'm sorry I'm busy.
There we are, fully logged out. So when you have done that, you're going to finish your session by logging out. Someone else will explain how to use the Synthesis program, but you'll be left with this login screen, and typically you might log out and then log straight back in again. That's something that will happen. And in this instance, let's assume it's the end of a session, you can just exit from there. You could leave that just as it is, and then you're going to close that remote session. Go back to your desktop, and you can shut down the desktop from here as normal, like any other Windows application, and there are the options. I'm not going to do that now. We're going to go back to the start and show you all that again with a little more explanation about what's happening. So you've logged into the computer, you've plugged in all the necessary things. That will include the network connection at the back, the mouse, the keyboard. You might want to use the laptop's keyboard or the external keyboard, and also the headset, of course. Now that'll need 3 USBs, and fortunately there are 3 USBs, and then there's also the power jack as well. Great, so you've turned it on, you're presented with the admin login screen, and the password is insight123. That's insight with a small I, 123, all one word. So you get this login screen. Now, a couple of things to note. I am going to make the habit of starting the telephone, and I recommend that you do that, to get the home screen, and there's your home screen ready. Your username is 2193, and that's the extension of a phone number, which is what this phone is connected to. Then this is the icon for the X-Lite phone, soft phone, and you can close it using that button and then restart it with that, and you can see you get dial tone, or you will get dial tone if you can hear it, and then you can stop the dial tone or hang up effectively with those two buttons. There's a do not disturb button. You don't want to use that, obviously. There are sliders here for volume. Okay, phone's connected. So the VPN, that is the Virtual Private Network, which is the security technique, it's showing a method that we're using. So it's a secure connection from your laptop in your home to the server, where there is another terminal server Windows operating just for you. It has a number, and that's the one that you're actually using to make calls. We'll get to that in a second. But the connection, I'm disconnecting it here, and then I can, as you will, when you start for the day, connect it. And then it does a secure connection, handshake, whatever, to create that connection, and that stops all the baddies causing trouble. So at the moment we're doing that with the network connection in the office. Your system will show something different. It'll show your ISP provider, and there are other options. We don't want you to use Wi-Fi. We don't think it's strong enough for doing this work. I may be wrong about that, but as a general rule, we want you using an Ethernet wired connection into the back of the laptop. Okay, so we've got that secure connection. Now we need to make that remote connection to the server. So I see that the phone has lost its connection, but I've enlivened it by pressing the phone off hook button to dial as if I was, and it's ready. I could now dial. So phone is active, that's good. So let's go to the server, double click on this Insight Sydney icon, and there it is. So here, this is basically the work home page. You've got the home screen column of information, that sidebar as we call it, of information that you can use here. It has different things that I'm not really familiar with. All these things are very useful, and some will explain to you what they all are. Yeah, all there, good. Over here at Synthesis, and the program initiates. This is again on the server, and you will have your own username. That's me, Andrew Salmon. I have my own password, and this is the phone number for this particular session, or this particular server. Hang on, I'm going to get lost here. Anyway, it's the number that's unique to you and this computer, this setup. It might be a different number if you logged in at a different computer, but here we are. This is the one that will be on this laptop for you. Dialers make the calls. It's a computerized system that controls the calls, and there are a set of these. We have to use dialer 3, and you put the number in, your password number, and then you can press login, and that will bring up the data for each call and connect you to the telephone. So when I press log on here, I won't connect this on this occasion, but that's a standard message that we can't get rid of. You'll have to get used to that. And it will now dial and make a connection. There it is there. As you can see, that number is calling you. You have to answer that. I'm not going to answer it, so it won't give me a session in this instance, but normally you would, and that will then start the system sending you calls. So there are a couple of things here. You generally won't use these in this remote setup. You might have to start this again by yourself, but normally it starts automatically. Here is Synthesis, and you do need to double click on that to start the process of logging into Synthesis. Up here is the standard network connection type bar, shows the IP address of the server, and you can use these. You can use this to end the session, and you can use this to minimize the session. So you might want to come back to this screen. I'm not quite sure why you would want to do that. Maybe to check the phone, and then you using this on the taskbar, using this icon here, go back to the remote computer and the session of Synthesis. So this will stay up here all the time, and then when you're finished, say at the end of the day, or maybe break for lunch, you might close this down. You might not. You might just leave it there. It doesn't really matter. It's not a problem. But if you did want to close this down, that remote session, you just hit the X there. This has brought you back to the desktop on your laptop, and there's the phone again. There's your connection, and there are settings in here. You won't generally need those, but it's good for you to know that they are in there. The SIP account settings are in there. That's what creates the VoIP phone connection. This simply minimises that the phone, and this actually exits the session. As you can see, the little bar's gone from the bottom, and then I have to restart it, and there it is. There's an exit method as well, which I think is down there if you really wanted to, but you won't need that. And as I said before, the volume, etc. And there that is. Down here is the network connections, and you can see, as I said before, your home connection will probably show there. Any Wi-Fi you have in the house or nearby might show up there, and then there's the VPN connection. I don't think we're using SIMs. Maybe this laptop does take SIMs. They don't all. And that is about it as far as I can tell. Yes, happy dialing. That's about it. Thank you for your attention.